Yeah, so something insane happened on Netflix, and I know that doesn't mean anything, but I don't know. I wanna address it just because I'm afraid a small group of people are gonna get the wrong info, the wrong like lesson learned from what just happened. But what I'm talking about is the Jessica Alba action movie that just came out called Trigger Warning, which I still maintain is the worst possible of all the titles they could have come up with for that movie, especially at this cultural moment. So, yeah, it did really well when it came out on Netflix. It was number one all week or whatever, and in the first week, it got a billion minutes of watch time, whatever that means. I don't, you know, it's the movie sucks. The critic reviews, the audience reviews, everybody seems to pretty much universally agree that this movie was a turd, but yet somehow it's broken a bunch of records on Netflix. And my fear is that studios are going to look at this and go, incredibly cheap, incredibly poorly done, easy, action B movie that's like a low quality action B movie in a world of low quality action B movies. Yeah, give the people what they want. Make a million of these, which is just not. I don't think that's the lesson we learned here at all. I think it's just a weird confluence of a few different factors that have resulted in this just Netflix putting out this turd, and just based on just bad luck on the side of everybody but Netflix, it worked out for Netflix. What I'm getting at is it was a turd. It was always a turd. Netflix seems to have known it was a turd. They finished it in late 2021, and then it's been in post production for 3 years. But clearly, they didn't have it in post production for 3 years. If you've watched it at all, they knew it was a turd. It's definitely the vibe. They're never gonna ever put it out. It was one of those which makes me sad in a different way, because I think everything that gets made deserves to see the light of day. But this may be the exception that proves the rule. Like it's so bad that maybe there is an argument to be made that some things just never. Yeah. Anyway, it came out. People watched it. I don't think it's the fact that people wanted to see it. I think it's the fact that there's so few movies coming out that audience want to see any movie that looks even to reasonably have a chance. They want to see it because that's how few movies came out. And the way I'm thinking about this is we had the apocalypse 2020, 2021, 2022, depending on how you count, and movie productions basically stopped. And so we still had those movies carrying over from prior to the apocalypse, getting finished, coming out. But then there was like a really slow and smaller ramp up as the apocalypse sort of winded down for movies going back into production. But it's just way less movies. And part of that is, things sort of started ramping back up again. And then there were a bunch of, union strikes. But even in addition to that, even on the other side of the union strikes, it's been like a year, right? And still a small percentage of movies are being put into production compared to prior to the apocalypse. And so we have this just hole where there should have been a pile of movies, coming out. And I think we're finally at a. I keep thinking every 6 months. I think it's going to be that moment where we finally hit the hole where there's just no more new movies, because we've ran out of all the movies that are on servers and hard drives somewhere that we're never going to see the light of day. And then Netflix does this, which very much looks like this movie was meant to never see the light of day. Yeah, it sucks. It sucks that a crappy movie sucks. I also think it sucks that a crappy movie gets so much positive attention for kind of the wrong reasons. Because again, the audience score and the critic score is basically everybody agrees this thing sucks. So the only people that seems to think this is any good at all are the studios, who are money motivated. So that's where I'm at. Like I don't understand film finance. I'm not one of those people. I'm a creator. I'm not a financier by any means, and so I don't know how that works. But it's definitely the vibe that financiers are not financing movies anymore, which makes me sad. And if this trigger warning movie, again, the worst name for any movie I could have possibly thought of, the SNL fake trailer for this movie would have been called Trigger Warning. Given all of that, I don't want to see more of these cheap B movies. And it's even crazier that Netflix is the one making this because, okay, credit where credit's due. Bruce Willis, Sly Stallone, the dude from the Avengers movies, all those guys are these older action guys that make these really cheap, low budget B movie action movies that, are not critically well received at all. But because they're made so cheaply, you can put them on Netflix or Amazon or Hulu and they can make their money back. But this was an in-house Netflix production, more or less. I mean, Jessica Alba's team produced it, but so nobody moneyballed this. This is just a turd for turd's sake that just happened to come out at a moment where people were like, I would like to see a movie, please. So I'd like to see more movies. I readily acknowledge that I've been going to movie theaters lately and nobody's going to movie theaters, and that makes me sad, but I kind of get it. But everybody, according to Netflix, went and saw this shit Jessica Alba movie that was never supposed to come out, and so I think it's people want to see movies. I think that should be the message, but the message should specifically not be, let's make cheap Jessica Alba pretending to be a SEAL Team 6 member movies that don't have any logical sense in them, and make a bunch of those, because that's not the solution. So that's what it is. It's weird. It's both. It's heartening that people still want to see movies, but it's very disheartening that I feel like the only people that are designed to get the bad message are just gonna absorb the bad message of let's make more shit movies because they absolutely crush it on the Netflix scoreboard. Yeah. So did you guys see this movie? I mean, according to Netflix, you did, but also according to Rotten Tomatoes, you hated it. Like, share, subscribe. I got a plug for, I did sort of a live stream where I treated this movie as proper film school because it does seem to make all the film school mistakes. And so that'll be linked below once I put it out. But did you guys see this movie? What do you guys think? Are you in the 14% that thought this was a total banger and that I'm, totally up my own ass here? I'll catch you next time.